Probably the best lesson I learned early in my career, that what guided my career or took me into the road that I went, was by listening to other farriers who had success with their business. They had already been established, they knew exactly what they wanted to do, they had already made the mistakes, and I thought that the best thing for me to do was listen to their advice. The most specific advice I got was one of the first clinics I went to. I was one of the guys that stood at the back, and I actually was one of them that was mumbling. And an older gentleman came up to me and he said, "You need to have an open mind. You're a young farrier. I know you think you have the world by the horns, but you really need to have an open mind and listen to other ideas and suggestions." I think that we need to think about where we want to be in our careers. Which direction do we want to go? Find out what you're unhappy about, whether it's the type of horses you're shoeing, whether it's the type of clientele you have, or just the business and your location geographically. What do you want? And attack one of those things with a goal that says, I want to change this, and I'm going to change that by specifically following the goals that I've set. I'm a big business person, and I've learned from other people that I think you need to have a 3- or 5-year plan. With farriers, I think they try to either do one or the opposite. They try to make it too short of a plan, by like a 1-year plan, or they want to make a 10-year plan. My plans are always on 5 years. I evaluate them at 3 years to see if I'm on time, if I'm doing everything the right way. Do I need to adjust that up or down, or have I already achieved what I wanted to do in 5 years earlier? The key to communication, I believe, is simply by learning to communicate verbally with clients and following that up with a newsletter, an informative newsletter pertaining just to your business. If you're having trouble verbally communicating with customers, that's a very negative thing. You can practice that by talking into the mirror or whatever, but I think if you lack that and you put it into writing with an annual or semi-annual newsletter, the same things that you want to talk about, they're aware of what you want to talk to them about. It's much easier when you do have the chance to verbally talk with them. If there's a problem and a client is a little reluctant to tell you, you can catch the warning signs. Once you become an accomplished farrier and you're a little bit older, you can hear a little hesitation, and they may lead off onto something like, well, the last time you were here, a couple days after you left, that horse wasn't quite right yet. If you sense that in a client, and the client does have an issue that they really don't want to say about, you need to bring it up to them. At the first sign of a problem, whether it's an email or a verbal thing, you really need to address it right then and bring it up and be able to accept that maybe there was something that didn't go quite well, and say, let me try this or that. Because there's so many different ways to approach one problem. There's not 1 or 2 ways, there's 10 ways to fix a problem.